Yes, Honorable Helga Daub. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for the honor of joining us at the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy and for the lecture that you gave. We would now like to ask you some questions in order to hear your thoughts and opinion about some salient issues. Firstly, what role do you think cultural diplomacy can play in the promotion of cross-continental cooperation? And what importance do you see in today's world for cross-continental cooperation?
First of all, let me express my pleasure being invited here. It's very interesting. Yes, and cultural diplomacy. I think there are many states where it's just normal. You don't talk about what can cultural diplomacy do because it's a very normal thing. But we have also many states on this globe with governments, let me say, corrupt and all the things we face with governments where cultural diplomacy is one of the ways to don't lose tracks with these countries and to find back to good governance, for example. It's a bridge. Cultural diplomacy can and should be a bridge. But well, in Europe and with America, the United States, for example, we don't talk about that because it's normal. It's just normal that we are in exchange. But it's very, very important with states where there are difficulties because cultural diplomacy remains to talk with them. Churches, foundations, and cultural diplomacy.
Your party, the Free Democratic Party, was actually in control of the foreign ministry for the past 4 years. So could you please describe to us the current state of affairs for Germany in every dimension with regards to Russia and China? And how do you see these future relations between Germany and these countries? And also, do you believe the deterioration between Russian and American relations has an impact on Germany? And if it does, then how? And then final question. What is your position on the intervention debate in Syria currently?
To start with the first one, within these 4 years, the relations, the cultural relations with Russia and China were deepened. We have a state minister in the foreign ministry. She's there especially for the cultural dimension. We build a lot of schools from Russia, in China, with Germany. There are many instruments, the foundations, for example, who also step in to deepen the relations between the two countries. I think we are on a good way. Nonetheless, from time to time there are irritations. Probably that's normal between states, but I think there has been done a lot in the last 4 years, especially in the cultural dimension. And the next question was about Syria.
That was the final question.
That was the final.
The first one was actually whether you see the deterioration of relations between Russia and China affecting Germany.
No, not deterioration, but irritations. Like I mentioned in my speech, when the foundations and all parties, all German parties do have foundations in Moscow, for example, they were treated as foreign agents, for example. So that's not very helpful, let me put it this way. But I won't talk about deteriorating.
Okay.
That's too strong. Yeah.
So your position on Syria as regards to the intervention?
Should be solved politically, no military invention. But of course, there have to be a strong answer, and this answer should come from a UN resolution about the poison attacks. And the poison attacks, the Americans say, or the inspectors, the UN inspectors say that it was caused by the government and therefore there has to be a very, very strong response, but a political solution, not a military one.
And do you have any ideas what that political solution
Talks,
could look
talks.
like? Okay.
And of course, what they have on poison gas is opened,
Destroyed.
is destroyed. Yes, they say what they have as poison gas, and that it is destroyed.
This past Sunday, on September 22nd, federal elections were held in Germany, where FDP didn't secure enough votes for representation in German parliament. And my question is, what do you believe to be the reasons for this situation, and what are the plans for FDP to regain power in order to return to parliament in 2017?
I would be grateful for some advice, good advice. No, it's a very difficult situation to begin with the last sentence, but one reason is it occurred, I think, the last week before the election. We had the elections in the state of Bavaria, and my party failed there, the 5% hurdle, and the leaders became nervous. And they actioned nervously, and they were begging, really begging for the second vote, because the second vote is the important one for the party, how it's coming back into parliament or not. It's not the first vote, but the second one. It was some kind of begging, and even people who told me, yes, you will get our second vote. I think a lot of them didn't vote us before how my party or the party leaders acted in the last week. If they hadn't done nothing, just nothing, it would have been better.
Following the results of the recent election, what are your future plans? And what is the next step in your career?
I'm now 70, so career is a good. I'm in the board of the Azerbaijan German Forum, which is very interesting. There I'm the vice chair, and I'm improving there the relations. Also, we have a university in my town. There are many Azerbaijan students, the relations between the German and the Azerbaijan students, but also in economy. Maybe I can be helpful in this place. It's a non-profit organization, of course. And then, like here, the ICD, or that we can cooperate in the one or the other way. Maybe, I don't know. That's what I want to do, and then I have a family. And there is a life after and aside my party. And I want to be more together with my family, with my grandchildren. I have two 2 and 7-year-old girls. Yes.
Thank you.
And lastly, we would like to know, what kind of coalition do you expect to see in Germany now? Do you think that the CDU and the SPD will be able to bridge the gap?
In the end they will. Because they have more in common than with the Green Party. But nonetheless, every democratic party has to be able to have a coalition with another democratic party. But in the end, I think it will be a coalition between CDU, CSU and SPD. But the SPD will have some things fulfilled in their program. If the CDU doesn't, well, then there will be no coalition, but I think they will bridge their ideas on the one side and the ideas of the SPD on the other side. Takes it little, makes it more interesting and the price higher. But in the end they will. I'm convinced.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you
It
very
was
much.
an honor and a pleasure having you with us today.
It was an honor for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.